Hello, it's Honey again. So I released my last update in September and here we are again in November in another lockdown. This will be quite a quick update because obviously between September and with the pace that life moves at now because of COVID and everything and all that drama, not a lot's really changed. Basically, I've had word back from the nose doctor and the receptionist. They will do surgery. Like I said, it wouldn't be this year. When I spoke to them in end of October, they said they were hoping to do it in January, and I hope they get to do it in January, but again, now there's a second lockdown, I don't think that's going to happen. So I assume it'll be rescheduled for even later. I do have concerns over this because after I had the surgery, they give you 1 year to have any revisions or anything. It's part of the contract you sign when you go through, so you get a year to have the revisions. And at first, when I was trying to schedule the follow-up surgery, they were like, "Oh yeah, I think you're outside of your revision." And obviously with everything that's going on, that's not my fault. And I raised my concerns back in February and was fobbed off till April. And then since then, you know, I've been the first opportunity I had to raise my concerns again, and they've since agreed that it's not right. So they have agreed to do it anyway, and it won't be at any cost. But again, or agreed to redo it. As for the GRC stuff that I was busy babbling on about last time, that all went off okay. My documentation came back just before I went away in the end, so I was really happy about that. However, that's just the documentation I sent, so all my IDs, all my evidence, everything. That was all returned to me. I made the payment for it all, and it's but yeah, and now it's just in some sort of weird nebulous limbo place where, you know, a bit like when you're waiting for your first appointment from the GIC, you just hear nothing. They acknowledged that they received my stuff, they sent back my evidence, they asked for payment, I gave them payment, and then it's just been radio silence ever since. So I have no idea what's happening with my case or anything. I assume that's probably been delayed due to second lockdown as well, although this time around it seems like a hell of a lot more stuff is open and still trading, and perhaps the courts is one of those things, so perhaps it is still being processed. I really don't know. I don't have a clue what's going on. I guess I could try and ring up and ask with my specific case number and password, and hope that gets me somewhere. Yeah, so I guess hopefully I'll have an update for you on that the next time there's an update. I have been doing quite a few like petitions and things because of just how things are around the GRC, and there was a review that they wanted questions submitted for and stuff, or they submitted questions for us to answer in response to some questions that were going to be asked. I filled all that in and encouraged some other people to do the same that I knew. Other things that have happened, I've spoke about it before, but sometimes being a visible trans person isn't the worst thing in the world when it gives you an opportunity to help other people. Somebody at work whose daughter, trans daughter, is transitioning, came up to me and was asking for information about quite a few bits and bobs, and they've come up to me a few times since, and it's nice to have the ability to have some answers and be able to help somebody, because obviously what websites and things say don't always bear out in reality. I mean, they're trying to follow the correct path, which says, you know, oh, well, you should be seen within 18 weeks of your review. And unfortunately, we all know that's not going to happen, and you have to sort of be the voice of reason and say how it's really going to go, and explain that even though like your GP has signed a cared share agreement with the GIC for things, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to provide the care that's expected, even though they signed the agreement. So some GPs won't actually do your blood work even though they've signed the share care agreement, which means that they've agreed to like support you. And if the GIC or whoever, even if you have a private doctor as well, they can do the same through them, where the specialist orders tests and your GP is the one that's meant to carry them out as they're your local healthcare provider. And sometimes they just don't. And it's just like, I haven't had a blood test since June now, and neither the GIC or my doctor's surgery have bothered to like question it. And after the experience I had back in June, I'm not really chasing it myself. I don't want to, like, why should I chase a bad experience all the time? So I'm just letting it ride out and see who notices first. Whether the GP says something, which I highly doubt, or the GIC climb on my back and are like, "Ooh, you know, we haven't had a blood test from you in 6 months." Like, oh, you noticed, did you? Because I asked 3 months ago at my GP and they were just like, no. If the GIC want it, they should request it. And I'm like, well, it needs to be done every 3 months. The same story we've been through a dozen times before. You know, if they want it, then they can request it. But they don't, because you signed a shared care agreement and they expect you to do these tests on their behalf. So, but yeah, getting back to the point, sometimes it's quite nice to be able to be visible, a visible trans person, and get to help other people, even if it's just, you know, by proxy through a parent or whatever. And it sounds like their mum's being really supportive and doing all the right things, and that they genuinely care. I just don't think they just don't seem to like understand the state of trans healthcare right now, and all healthcare in general. Because of the pandemic, everything's under stress, or been stressed. Everything's been pushed back, you know, for obvious reasons, but at the same time, like, these services are still needed, and yeah, everyone's struggling with whatever health conditions they have. They're all being exacerbated by all of this. I'm getting near to where my goals were originally. I mean, assuming this GRC certificate comes back and is granted, I'm pretty much there where I wanted to be from like 4 years ago. When I started out, you know, I wanted to live my life, I wanted HRT, I wanted voice therapy, which, you know, I'm going through a second time, but it's still happening. I've had more electrolysis than that, and, you know, like I'm just getting on with the treatments and getting on with life, and yeah, things are pretty much where I need them to be in terms of like that now. I'm getting, you know, I'm on my hormones. I've got most of the development that I wanted. I had my face done, which was causing me dysphoria. I know that's not finished yet because obviously the revision in January, but assuming that all goes well, then that's another chapter closed. Assuming that my GRC is granted, then basically that's another chapter closed. So it's all not coming to an end, but like it's wrapping up. It won't be such a dominant force in my life going forward anymore, hopefully. You know, there's still other surgeries that I'm toying with well, not toying, that's the wrong word. There's still other surgeries that I'm considering, and how they're going to work out for me, and who's doing them, and what the implications are, and where I could get them, but like in terms of my original goals, it's getting there, you know. They're almost done. So I'm thinking of, like, as I say, opening videos up more and making it more of a, because I do want to support other people, so like make it more of a like UK specific sort of, like, you know, what do you want to know, like topic wise, sort of like, do you like nitty gritty stuff, like the mechanics of it all, like how do I go about doing X in the UK, how do I go about doing Y in the UK, that sort of thing, like how, like questions that are specific about the actual process of transition, and relevant to like my experiences and maybe what you might experience, like fielding those sort of questions, rather than a personal Q&A, but you know, just sort of maybe opening videos up a bit more to that sort of thing. So if anyone from the UK does have any questions, obviously about transitioning in the UK and the processes and things, and what do I think of X or Y, then, you know, I might start doing specific videos around those sort of topics. So yeah, thank you for listening, and I don't know when the next update will be, if we come out of December lockdown and then have Christmas and we'll probably go straight into a January, February, March lockdown, is what I've got a feeling it will be. So I'll probably see you in another 4 months and there probably still won't be a lot to say, but thank you for listening, stay safe, and goodbye.